Welcome. This is the Global Summit House podcast. Catch power interviews and discussions with influential, inspiring, and powerful people. Explore what's possible by tuning into this podcast with our all-new The Writers Project episodes, featuring one of the world's most inspired thinkers and writers. Visit our website at www.globalsummithouse.com.
Hello and welcome to another great show here with your host, Paul Greaves. Today we have an amazing author, Batya Shemesh. Now, Batya Shemesh was brought up in an Orthodox Jewish family in New York. She moved to Jerusalem with her family when she was 16 years old and built her life there. Moving from the big city to the Holy Land was her dream come true. She loved Israel and blossomed there. Batya attended and graduated from an Orthodox Jewish seminary with a teaching degree in Hebrew and Bible studies. Today, she is happily married and a mother of 4. When Batya was 28 years old, God gave her the gift of clairvoyance and healing abilities. For many years, Batya used her God-given talents to help people with their health. As at the same time, she studied the Bible using her gift of intuition to understand it more deeply. She has come to amazing insights that inspired her to write 4 books: Who is God? God Meets the World, God's Hidden Treasure, and Choose Life. Now, Batya, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Thank God, I'm doing great.
Perfect. And Batya, before we started the show, you said that you've had a lovely day in the sun today.
Yes, in Israel, it's very warm. We live near the sea. It's beautiful. It's hotter than it ever was at this time of year.
Wow, that does sound...
So we're like having no winter. We're skipping the winter this year altogether.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
Have some rain, we have some rain and some, some wind, some rain, and then lots of days of sun.
Oh,
beautiful.
That sounds great. Well, Batya, I've just told our audience a little bit about yourself, but please, can you tell us a little bit about you, your background?
Well, I've been working with people. My main job is that I'm helping people with their health. And of course, now there's more work than ever because of the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. And just a lot of people just have to give them, phone consultations or advice over the phone. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people are afraid. There's emotional things, there's physical things. Mm-hmm. So, and since I already have a name in the community, so they're coming to me now without fear. They're coming to me, trusting me to give them the right stuff to save them. To save them. But here we go. Israel was hit hard, especially communities that I work for. They've been hit hard with this virus. Mm-hmm. So we're helping them a lot. We're doing a lot of work. And I'm seeing results. It's really good because some people who never came to me are calling me now. Because everybody's already starting to trust natural medicine now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds fantastic. And
famous now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been working my whole life with people, helping them. But the things that I decided, I kept on saying I'm gonna teach. I kept saying I'm gonna teach after I did 10 years. After 10 years of work, I'm gonna teach. And I did. I did teach. I taught classes, so I have people who are under me, who work for me and ask me for advice for their clients. Mm-hmm. And and only then did I write a book. I wrote a book after many years, like at least 20, 25 years of work, did I actually write. And then I wrote this book, Choose Life. where I put in a lot of the advice that I got from my experience. Not all, only the things that you can do without going to a doctor, like single herbs, diet, things to help you, and the source of health in the Bible. Where does the Bible teach you that you have to eat healthy? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of quotes in my book that tell you that the Bible does care about your health. It's not just what meets the eye. It's not just the simple words.
Mm-hmm.
For example, it says that yes.
No, I was just going to say that you've kind of mentioned about the pandemic and everything, and it's fantastic that you've been able to help people. Help them, give them kind of some reassurance and things. But before we get on to your books and specifically, God meets the world and Choose Life, can you tell our listeners out there a little bit more about kind of like your healing and clairvoyance? See there, how did you learn this, and how do you work with it now?
Well, I admit that when it happened to me, I didn't know what was happening to me. I started getting pictures and voices all over the place. Mm-hmm. But I decided I decided that I'm going to tell God that it has to be from God. It can't be like some kind of a spirit or ghost or anything like that, because I don't believe in those things. Mm-hmm. So I said there's only one God. It has to be from God. So I was fighting it. I fought it until it calmed down, and then I got a clear one message what to do.
Wow.
So then I started opening up books to find out what you do when you get these kind of words and messages in your brain. And I found out from Maimonides. Maimonides is a famous doctor, Jewish doctor, and he wrote. We have a lot of scholars that wrote about these things. So he wrote that something like this, the more you study, the more you'll get. And the subject that that's where you get the messages. So then I started studying like crazy. I knew that that's what's going to happen, and my husband was very supportive, and I went out of wherever I had to go to do courses to learn more. I already had a background. I already knew about natural foods and stuff, but I went and studied a lot. And the more I study, the more I know. So then I use everything, homeopathy and herbs and whatever I study, and then I can get a feeling of what the person needs according to what I know. So I've been studying and working for all these years.
Okay, so I think the kind of main message there, Batya, is that.
What?
Yeah, so I'm just saying that kind of the main message there is that you've been studying, you've been learning, and kind of really understanding why this is happening to you. So I think that's a really good lesson for everyone out there.
Studying and working. Mm-hmm. Studying and working at the same time. Like immediately using what I learned. Immediately. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
because I had people coming to me right away. Everybody was coming to me right away because we live in a country where people believe in these things. Mm-hmm. You don't have to convince them.
Well, that sounds amazing. So Batya, did that kind of lend you into kind of writing the book, and specifically, God Meets the World? What kind of made you choose that title? And tell us a little bit more about that book.
The title, it just came to me. I didn't know why it came to me, mm-hmm. But when I started looking into the English translation of the Bible, I saw that in the Ten Commandments it says that God came out to meet the Israelites when he was on Mount Sinai. I knew the book has to be about the Ten Commandments. But I didn't know the term. The term God Meets the World actually came from the NIV translation, that God came out to meet the Israelites. So I'm saying God came out to meet the world, because it's not just the Ten Commandments were not just given to the Israelites, they're given to the world. They were given to the Israelites in order to tell the world about it, in order to teach the world, in order to change the world.
Wow. So I can really see where that title comes from. And your book, Choose Life, is that similar? Is that kind of following on from God Meets the World, or tell us a
No,
little bit
it's
about
totally different. It's nutrition. It's a nutritional book, but nutrition from the Bible. Like, where in the Bible does it say that you have to eat healthy? How do you know you have to eat healthy from the Bible? We know that there's a lot of prohibitions against food because it's impure. But I show there also about foods that are not healthy. That he says, for instance, it says Jethro kicked, he got fat and he kicked. And why? Because he ate the fat of lambs, and he ate the fat of the wheat and liquor, and the blood of grapes, which is actually sugar. What's the blood of grapes? Grapes don't have blood, but grapes have sugar. So it's like, yeah. So it's like, also in those days, it wasn't bad to be fat. The fact that the Bible said that being fat is a bad thing, that already shows that it's prophecy. Because in those days, fat was good. They were worried about putting on weight, not taking off weight.
Yeah, true, definitely. Things have changed now, haven't they? So, Batya, how does your book then, with Choose Life, how can we put that into kind of everyday situations?
So we have chapters. We have a chapter with lists of herbs and what they do, and I have a chapter of lists of maladies and what to do for them. So that's like a reference book. So the two chapters are referenced.
Okay, right. So Batya, could anyone kind of pick up your book and kind of use your nutritional advice there, even if they're not?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I wrote it for the world. I didn't write it. In order for me to write it for Israel, I have to translate it, and I have to take out a lot of stuff because I wrote this in a way that everybody, Jews and non-Jews, could understand for English speakers, and also people who don't know anything about nutrition or about the Bible. So I made it very much simpler that it's possible to understand.
Oh, that's fantastic! And that's really great news. And so Batya, how have people found the book? What's the feedback been like on the book? Have people kind of changed their dietary requirements and really kind of noticed a change in themselves?
Yeah. Whoever I sold the book to here, because we do have some English speakers there. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. They're totally convinced. Totally. Because I'm giving a middle way. I'm not making a fad. So it's like all of these diet books, each book has a special diet, like a fad. Like, I believe in the Atkins diet and I believe in the macrobiotic diet. All these fads, each thing is like one way, just one way. I'm not doing that. I'm explaining why all these things work. It's like, why? Why? Because it has to do with yin and yang. So there's a lot of explanation of Chinese medicine there, because I'm integrating the Chinese medicine, not only the Bible, the Chinese medicine and regular natural medicine. And explaining that if, for instance, if people take away starch is yang. They take away starch, so they feel better because they took away the starch. If people take away meat, they feel better because they took away the meat, because they're taking away the heat. So I'm explaining so you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You could take away a little bit of the meat and a little bit of the starch. You don't have to go crazy. You have to be balanced. And I'm giving lists of what's a heating food, what's a cooling food. And it's very, very clear, because I'm not just mushing it into one page with a list. That's like, the lists are like over 20 pages. So everything is clear. What's moderate yang, medium yang, moderate yin, medium yin, and it keeps on going on and on. I'm using only the foods that are everyday foods, so you can see what I eat. If you write in everything you eat, and you say, oh, wow, my body's way overheated because I'm only eating things on the hot side. That's why I get high blood pressure, because high blood pressure is a heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not because I eat the meat and get blood pressure. It's because I eat meat and bread and rice, and it's too much. But I can still have my steak if I have enough fruit and dairy to balance it. So it causes people to be able to make their own choices, not forcing anybody on anything. You need to have your own choices of food. A person has their own taste buds.
Wow, I think that's fascinating. So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Kind of like, if you're picking up a diet book and you're not just saying, right, cut out the carbohydrates or, just eat protein or something like this. You're telling the reader there that, if you eat this, then you can have a little bit more of this. If you cut down on this, and then maybe you can, have a little bit more of something else. So, wow, that sounds really interesting. And,
right, you could choose it yourself. Mm-hmm. But then you make it yourself, and you make your diet yourself. You don't have anybody choose a diet for you. You can figure it out. I'm giving you enough information to figure it out, to teach. That's why I also wanted to teach very much. So I taught. I had classes. Right now I don't have classes because we had twins, thank God. Mm-hmm. So I'm busy with the children. But when we did have, but my goal in doing the classes was in order to get, just delegate, be more independent. But teach everybody to be independent. When we did go, we were out of the country. We were in America to have the kids. My people, they kept on calling me, but they didn't stop doing the diet. They didn't stop taking vitamins because I taught them I taught them why am I telling you to take vitamin E? Why am I telling you to take vitamin C? I explained it to them. So it becomes part of you. Yeah. And that's why I want to explain the world about it. I don't want to just, my main purpose was I do not want to die with these secrets in the grave. I need to tell the world. I can't be working day and night for so many years and just take it with me. I don't want to do that.
Well, Batya, that's some really powerful words there. Yeah, definitely. I think that's really kind of, powerful, saying that you've got this knowledge, you want to kind of tell it to the world, and you're doing that with your teaching and actually writing it down for people to read this. So well, that's some great advice there. So Batya, just going back to God meets the world, and you've mentioned about the 10 commandments there. How do you see this working in kind of everyday life now? If someone picked up the book and started reading it, how can they learn some lessons with the pandemic going on?
So it's a very fun book. It's a very fun book because I'm dealing with all these topics that are modern topics. I mean, if you're dealing with do not murder, you're dealing with suicide, you're dealing with abortion. What does the Bible say about it? How do you implement it in regular life? How do you implement not stealing? What did they do in the olden days if someone stole? I also giving the background, the biblical background. That they didn't put people in jail. If you steal, you have to pay back double to the person you stole from.
Okay.
Imagine if they would tell a thief, you have to pay back double. You don't sit in jail and pay time. You pay money. Mm-hmm. And the people who were robbed are going to calm down a bit,
Yeah, it make you think twice.
I mean, it's not fair to the person who was robbed from. I mean, you rob a car, you go to, and what about the person who got their car stolen? Nothing happens to them. They don't get their car back. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He gets to get 2 cars back because of all the suffering. Yeah, so that's what it says in the Bible. You steal a car, you have to pay back 2 cars. And so all kinds of things like that. It's interesting. Yeah, it's really fascinating. So, I mean, you're talking about 10 Commandments, so it relates to everybody. People want to know the 10 Commandments because they don't know what they want to know. Because everybody knows somehow in their heart that the 10 Commandments is important.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows it.
Well, that sounds
it's
great.
given from God, so you know.
Yeah, that sounds great, Batya. I love that. The two books we've mentioned here, God Meets the World and Choose Life, are things which you can pick up and get some great advice for everyday things that's going on. Now, Batya, as we come in towards the end of the show here, is there kind of any words of wisdom you'd like to give our audience out there?
Wow. So first of all, is not to be afraid. Not to be afraid. Now, in the time of the pandemic, you shouldn't be afraid. We have to know that God is running the world, and God is going to save us. He's going to help us. He's going to get us through this. That the worst thing is fear. You have to pray to God and know that He's going to take care of us. The fear is what's destroying everybody. She said, please don't be afraid. The world is a big rabbi said the world is a bridge. And the main thing is to not be afraid.
I think it's some great advice there, and yeah, definitely, I'm with you on those words. Yes, I think the fear is the one thing that gets to us. Yeah, really great advice there, Batya. So Batya, thank you for joining us today. Now, where can our listeners find out more about you, and where can we find these books?
Well, first of all, the books are on Amazon.
Great.
And I also have a website. It's author Batya. I think author Batya, and there's also lots of YouTube stuff. Like if you type in author Batya, you'll get YouTube, or author Batya Shemesh. You'll get YouTube things. I have some interviews. If you type in God Meets the World, so I have lots of interviews, so you can see me. On the interviews, you can see me with my friend. He's giving me interviews, so you can learn a lot about that, about all the books, about all different kinds of topics. And we have other podcasts, I think, recorded on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And now we're coming out with some doodles that will talk about the Ten Commandments also. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. I think if you write Global Summit, on the Global Summit, Batya Shemesh, there's going to be also stuff.
Okay,
it's a lot
fantastic.
of stuff.
Yeah, and
a lot of interesting things.
We'll add all of these links to this podcast page as well, so people will be able to find out, where they can.
Oh, wonderful!
Etc. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's perfect. Great.
Yeah. Main thing, if you write Batya Shemesh, there's not too many Batya Shemesh on the internet. So if you write Batya Shemesh, things come out. Also on the Amazon, if you write Batya Shemesh, you'll get the books. You'll see the books that I wrote.
Yeah, and for people listening now, Batya is Batya and Shemesh Shemesh. Well, Batya, thank you so much for joining the show today. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed our time, and I'm going to look at those books myself. So thank you for that. To our listeners out there, please share this episode and leave a comment. We love reading your comments out there. And as I said before, all of the information can be found in the show notes. My name is Paul Greaves. Thank you for listening. We are done. We are dusted.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Global Summit House podcast. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or Google Play. Connect with us at globalsummithouse.com. See you on the next episode.